Zachary, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it. Really honored to be speaking with you today and hearing a little bit about Zentide and what your objectives are with Zentide in the near future. Really happy to have you guys joining the Further Summit and excited to be chatting with you today.
Thanks for having me. I really appreciate it. Looking forward to discussing Zentide and some of the things we're doing. I love what you're doing at Further, so I was really happy when I was given the opportunity to speak with you.
So let's just start with a very quick intro. Can you tell us who you are, what your company does, and what makes it unique?
So my name is Zachary Nice. I'm the CEO and founder of Zentide. We're a climate tech company. We make biostimulants derived from Indonesian seaweeds with the intent of helping farmers reduce their dependency on chemical fertilizers. I think what separates us maybe from others and what we're doing unique is one, the way in which we process certain Indonesian seaweeds, which are underutilized as a biomass within Indonesia, and valorize them, making biostimulants that offer a significant value leverage to farmers by allowing them to reduce their input costs through reduced fertilizer usage, while at the same time improving their soil health over time, improving their yields, so there's more revenue, etc., and ultimately allowing them to have a process where they can go from a more conventional type of agriculture dependent on heavy use of synthetic inputs towards a more regenerative type of.
And tell us a little bit about why do you do what you do? What is the deeper problem or opportunity that actually drives you to do that?
I think, it's multiple. So first and foremost, I've been a agricultural farmer myself in Indonesia. I have an organic farm. I've been doing it for over 10 years. So I've experienced personally the challenges inherent with farming in Indonesia, and also multiply those when you look at kind of regenerative or organic farming in Indonesia. It's a challenge across multiple there's a lot of pain points. So I'm very intimate with those problems and can empathize with farmers across the country. At the same time, within Indonesia and also globally, most agricultural systems are overly dependent on chemical fertilizers, and this causes a couple of problems. In regards to the climate side of things, chemical fertilizers are incredibly emissive, both in their production and their use. About 2.6 gigatons is produced annually through chemical fertilizers, so it's actually a larger emitter than shipping and aviation combined. So that's one significant problem. Secondary to that is a food security issue. Many farmers are caught in a vicious cycle where they're overly dependent on these chemical fertilizers. The cost of those fertilizers is rising every year, so their input costs are rising, their margins are shrinking. Because of the overuse of the fertilizers, their land is slowly degrading. And so the actual productivity of the land over time decreases. And so that you're looking at decreased yields, increasing costs, and that means less money for farmers. It's harder for them to grow, which means in the future, younger generations are not going to be interested in this as a livelihood. And we all need to eat. That's a big problem. So I was very interested in developing a solution that could tackle the climate side of things and reduce emissions, but that also could help increase livelihood of farmers, of coastal communities, and create better soil in the future.
Such an important solution, right? And what you're also aiming to do with your products is to decrease input costs for farmers while at the same time increasing yields, right? Which is a double gain. And what's one lesson you've learned about building in food and agriculture that others should hear?
I think specifically in Indonesia, one of the lessons that we've learned, we like to say that you need proof before sale or proof before scale. Be it you're working with government agencies, with a farmer that's farming half a hectare, to large agribusinesses covering dozens and dozens of hectares. They want to see proof of your product with their own eyes, generally in test plots, oftentimes across different soil types, different seasons, different crop types. So you really have to put in the time to work directly with whoever it is that you're targeting, to send your agronomists, send your team to basically develop protocols and to figure out how you're going to test it and help them analyze those results so you can conclusively prove to them this product works, there are savings if you use it, there are benefits if you use it, there are yield increases if you use it, and that outreach takes time. Some companies aren't patient enough to do it, but I think that they have to also realize, especially when you're looking at in a space like ours where we're looking at regenerative, organic, non-synthetic inputs, there have been a lot of products in the past that didn't live up to their promises or expectations, specifically in Indonesia. And so farmers have been burned. It's realistic that they would be skeptical when you come to them and tell them, hey, I can reduce your input costs by 25 to 50% and your yields will increase. But once they see it, they're converted. They'll be customers for life.
And also their margins are so thin that the risk on their side of maybe changing again, because they have already changed to something else in the past and the experience wasn't that great,
Yeah, definitely.
the risk of changing is high.
Definitely. Sorry, I didn't mean to to interrupt you there, but yeah,
No, please.
absolutely. If you're working with a farmer who's farming half a hectare and that is his income, and his kids are dependent on that for school fees or medicine, and their livelihood, eating day to day, yeah, it's a big risk for him to try a new product and potentially diminish his revenue, right? So yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Now the beautiful thing about what we're trying to do is if we can reduce their input costs by 25 or 50% and correspondingly increase their yield, all of a sudden that farmer has an additional 3 to 6 juta per hectare of additional income, and that's also a major impact for them, and that's where their potential livelihood and their life can increase in quality, right? And that's what we're trying to achieve.
Absolutely. That's the importance of the trials, right? And be able to show to them that it actually works.
That's right.
But great lesson that you need to dedicate time and resources to actually doing that and proving to the different stakeholders that the solution actually works. And what's next for Zentide in the next 6 to 12 months?
A big part of it is applying that lesson and figuring out, okay, we kind of have developing a roadmap on what does our sales process look like? What are the time frames? What's the sales cycle? If we want to roll out nationally or overseas or wherever it may be, how do we do that in a manner that's scalable? And how do we maximize this information that we've learned over the last year, basically? Beyond that, expanding field trials. So again, developing that proof across different crop types is important. To date, we've tested 14 different crop types. Our goal by the end of the year is to have 30 crop types tested, including all the major staple crops in Indonesia: rice, corn, sugarcane. We're looking at tobacco and Lombok right now. And then, of course, all the horticulture, which we've primarily covered for the major horticulture crops already. We've already achieved in the field a 50% reduction in chemical fertilizer while not sacrificing yield. In fact, we had a small increase in yield at that time, so we're very happy with that, but I want to continue pushing that. I'd like to get to 75% by the end of the year without sacrificing yield. We're also, right now we're at a pilot level of production. We have a pilot level capacity. I would really like to start scaling that, getting up to production level capacity very quickly. So those are all things that we're focused on. I think just building a broader distribution network. We want to roll out quickly. We're quite aggressive in that sense. Taking all of this information that we've validated across different crop types, and then getting that product to farmers so they can use it and benefit from it is important. So looking for the right partners to do that with is important.
Amazing. That leads me to the next question. Why did you decide to join Further?
I mean, the answer is right there, right? So we need to do that. That's a big part of our goal across the next 18 months. And I think what you guys are doing is fantastic. There's a huge need for it, especially in Southeast Asia. The ability for us to connect with potential investors, potential collaborators, potential customers via agri-input or whatever it may be, who may be purchasing it, or give us access to farmers is fantastic. I like the ecosystem that you're building and the platform that you're building that allows us to come face to face and have conversations and have actionable items that we can achieve very quickly is great. So I love that you guys have put this together. I'm excited to take part in it, and thank you for doing it.
Well, thank you. I'm honored to hear all of that. We're working hard to boost the ecosystem and accelerate bring more investments and partnerships into the space.
Yeah, absolutely. One thing I love about this section of agriculture, be it actually, kind of seaweed and or regenerative, is even companies that are so-called competitors are so willing to collaborate and discuss and learn. I have regular calls with several other biostimulant companies that are based out of Indonesia, and we're constantly sharing information. It's a big enough market, in my opinion, for all of us to have a piece and focus on our different sectors, and we all have different GTMs, and that's fine. But it's a breath of fresh air, given my history in some other industries that are much more competitive in that sense. That there is the ability to develop these ecosystems and co-learn with each other and have discussions. So,
absolutely. The way that I think about it is that the challenges ahead of us are so large, especially in food and agriculture, right? We have rising population, we have declining yields in many parts of the world, especially in the global south, especially in Asia Pacific, vastly driven by the overuse of chemical fertilizers. We have an aging farmers population without a clear succession plan. And on top of this, we still have climate change, which makes it even harder to grow food. We have geopolitical instability, right? Which, in my opinion, makes it a very fragile ecosystem. So it's very, very important that we have, people like you guys working on incredible solutions and others that are working in similar solutions, but we are all looking into this pie as how do we tackle this challenge, which there is not 1, 2, or 10, or even 100 companies that can actually solve, right? It's a lot of us working together and making the wheel move and making a sustainable contribution into the ecosystem.
I agree 100%. It's a problem that's bigger than all of us. And yeah, absolutely. It's going to take collaboration to hopefully at least, put a dent in it. I mean, we're going to do our best, right?
Exactly.
But I think that another lesson I've learned through this process personally is that there are solutions and they are implementable, and there's definitely hope. We started off when we began building this venture, we were simply looking at the carbon pocket resulting from overuse of chemical fertilizers. We didn't have a solution. We just knew that it was a very emissive sector, and it needs solutions. And when we started digging in further to, okay, we're in Indonesia and Singapore, what do we have in this area where maybe there's a natural advantage in production, or some kind of solution that we could tailor to where we are? We came across tropical seaweed. And we realized that within Indonesia, there's certain seaweeds that are underutilized that have a massive potential to lift up coastal communities in terms of an additional source of revenue. They grow easily. They don't require inputs. They're not competing for arable land. And they're very high in the concentration of certain hormones, phytohormones, polysaccharides, etc., that are very beneficial to plants. So in our particular case, we use certain seaweeds. We use different extraction methods. We target certain growth hormones and antioxidants and polysaccharides, and they allow a plant to process nutrients more efficiently, which means they need less nitrogen, they need less NPK, urea, etc. So we're putting a dent in those emissions. But beyond that, they also increase a plant's resistance to abiotic stress. So, for example, a plant using our biostimulants is more able to tolerate drought, which is very important in areas like East Lombok, for example, where they have an extended dry season and nothing will grow. Salinity, which is very important, in areas where you have an encroaching sea line, for example, due to global warming and sea levels rising. That's going to be a continued issue. Increases in temperature, which we're already seeing drastically in different agricultural areas. It's amazing that when we take these solutions, which seem insurmountable, and we really spend a little bit of time looking at what's possibly there, we can find solutions. So I hope we can make this
Absolutely.
work. I'm going to do my best. And thanks again for connecting more like-minded people.
No, absolutely. Thank you for working on the solutions that you are working on. You gotta be willing to sacrifice a lot of things, but also be very resilient, looking for the solutions and working until they actually scale and become sustainable businesses themselves, right? One of the reasons why I decided to come and work on sustainability and food and agriculture with a tech background was because I used to scale businesses very quickly in tech, and I realized with the climate crisis and the whole sustainability environment, we already have about 80% of the solutions that we need. We just need to scale them up, right? The solutions are there. So echoing what you were saying, the solutions are there. Some of them we need to dig a little bit deeper to really find them out and create as you guys have been doing, but a lot of them already exist. So how do we scale these sustainable solutions to become really viable businesses for the people who are working on them, but also for the people who are consuming them in a way that the de facto solution that people are going to choose, whether it's in a farm or in a supermarket or wherever it is the most sustainable solution for people in the planet. So that's the goal for accelerating sustainable solutions in food and agriculture. That's what we're really working towards it further, and it's my life goal. So I deeply resonate with that. So next question related to the Further Summit is, who are you willing to meet or hoping to meet at the summit, right? What kind of opportunities are you looking for at the Further Summit?
Yeah, so, as I mentioned, we're at a point now where I think we've done significant validation in the field. We're ready to scale. So I'm interested in collaborators, people that want to continue co-learning. We still have multiple crop types we want to test. We want to test in different regions. So potentially agri-input companies that are looking for other regenerative products that they want to trial would be fantastic. We're looking for anyone else that would want to co-learn, be it an NGO, academic institution. Certainly investors, never hurt. That's something we're always considering. I'll be frank, we haven't decided yet when we want to seek our next round, but I think it's always good to begin finding the type of investors that are interested in a story like ours and developing a relationship. So when the time comes and we're ready for that,
Absolutely.
it's in place. Never too early for that. So that would be another area where I think we'd definitely be looking. So I guess to emphasize collaboration, co-learning, assistance with scale are all things we're interested in meeting.
Amazing, amazing. And what would you say to the people you're hoping to meet at the summit?
I think we have a fantastic biosolution that addresses a serious problem in agriculture in a manner in which there's a value lever for the consumer, for the farmer or the agri-input company that doesn't require them to pay a green premium, for example, for the product. They have an easy financial decision to make. They can take our product, they can reduce their input costs, and compare the reduction in your cost of inputs versus the cost of our product. You're going to have savings. Factor into that potentially an increased yield, and it's an easy business decision. And so I think we've got a product that meets the requirements for most investors that are interested in getting in an early stage company that's going to scale. We want to test our product with you. We're looking for investors in the future, and we'd love to start that conversation, and we want to continue testing. So if you have something that you'd like to test, contact me.
Amazing, amazing. Thank you. And to close the conversation today, in one sentence, what should our food and ag systems look like in the future?
I think that our food and agriculture systems should regenerate more than they extract. They should leave the soil healthier after each harvest as opposed to depleted. They should be trending towards reduction in carbon output per hectare as opposed to trending up. They should provide the ability for a farmer to generate a livable income and an income that's going to attract future generations into the sector so that we always have someone growing our food.
That's incredible. It's an amazing way to end the conversation. Thank you so much, Zachary. Really appreciate your time, and looking forward to meeting you in Singapore soon.
See you in November. I'm looking forward to that.
Bye.